purposes for our time together. The first is to identify a focus for our upcoming cycle together, and then talk about a few coaching cycle logistics. So your literacy, think about literacy. Talk to me about what you're thinking about for literacy.
Literacy, I'd like a little bit more direct guidance in terms of, I kind of feel like right now I'm becoming kind of stale in a way in terms of like things are the same, not introducing, or I'm not pushing them like I'm able to push them in math. From my coaching cycle I had last year in math, and it's been, I think this has been 2 years now since I didn't have coaching last year.
No.
It was the year before.
Yeah.
That I would benefit from getting some more just kind of like, hey, let's refocus in terms of like whole group. The individual, the small reading groups, I've gotten a little, I need to get back to how it was before. I remember how it was before. I need to get more structured in terms of that. So I plan on doing that. But that, and I think literacy stations.
Okay.
Like for me, in terms of what they should be doing, not making it cumbersome on me or anything like that. What it looks like, because I feel like I've always kind of been knocked about in terms of like, well, you know, they're just, you know, they shouldn't be doing that, or they, you know, they shouldn't be doing this, and it's like I'm always at a loss in terms of what it looks like.
Yep. Okay.
For that.
Okay.
So, I mean,
So lot different components there, because we think about your
there's a lot of different components. I'm so sorry. I'm always so scattered. But yes.
So your literacy block, we have your 60-minute content block,
Right.
which is your ants expedition. And then we have your 40 minutes of differentiated literacy instruction, which is your guided reading groups. And then we have 30 minutes outside of that for you to use as needed. So it could be word study, it could be extended time for literacy stations in kindergarten.
So I've always done writing as part of that.
And I think that's okay.
So
I think that would be okay. I think we want to think about which of those areas you'd like to be pushed more in to give us the most leverage for our time together. So do we really want to focus on pushing your kids as readers during that whole group literacy time? Do we want to focus on pushing them as readers during guided reading instructional time, which could branch out some into working with them in the context of literacy stations? So thinking about your own practice, and I haven't been with you all year or last year, what do you feel would be most beneficial, not just for you, but for your kids as well?
See, I think I would always falter to like, well, maybe like the whole group instruction, becoming more focused in that. Just because I kind of feel like that's kind of, I mean, that's the main focus point for it. And there's no, I mean, like when I go to like the meetings that we have for like expedition, I'm like, wow, that's a great lesson. You know, I know my lessons don't look anything necessarily like that.
Okay. I'm kind of with you because we did some guided reading, be it 2 years ago, but you have some understandings in place there, and I think I can support you maybe a little less formally in that area. I think with literacy stations, we're going to get to doing more of that in PD, and I can provide some follow-up as needed from there. But we've never worked together in whole group literacy.
Right.
And you're right, there is that, wow, that like looks like a really good lesson on that scaffolding plan and based on what Katie describes it, but is that the actuality of what's taking place in my room? And then, is it affecting or impacting my kids as readers? Or are they making growth tied to that standard? And how do I know? So that might be an area for us
I
to
mean, I would definitely
focus
say
on.
that would probably be the main focus.
Whole group literacy.
Whole group literacy.
Content literacy.
Content. I mean, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job, but could be done much better.
Okay, whole group content literacy. So thinking about that focus area and what you guys are working on in your expedition, are there any of those standards that you're coming up on that you are aware of, that you think kids may have a tricky time with, or that you've already covered that kids had a tricky time with, or what standards might we want to focus on to track progress of your kids as readers. And I have the standards doc if you want to know what's coming up, where you guys are
And
headed
I
this
know
quarter.
what, in terms of, like, I always, when I generally tend to think about in terms of, like, what information we're covering
Okay.
and where we're going. Like, I know, like, this week is, like, a big week on terms of habitat.
So you're all informational literacy standards, right?
Yeah.
And do you know, Tyler, which standards you're reporting out on this quarter? Caitlin and I used that to help us.
I don't, I'll be honest.
Let's look.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have the report card?
I may not have taught it right. I mean, I kind of feel like, a lot of times we would take a look at, the front page, the front cover, and we would flip through it, and, we'd be like, what do we think is the main idea, the main topic
Main topic.
of this
Right.
book? Not the main idea, but the main topic. Which they did pretty good at, in terms of like, oh, it's about seals, or it's about bats, or, so they did a pretty good job with that.
Okay.
I kind of feel like I hit that really hard.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job with that.
Okay.
So.
I think I would want to know before we decide on a goal is in your meeting tomorrow, getting really clear on what literacy targets are going to be coming up in these next few weeks in the second quarter for you guys in kindergarten. Because when we know that, we can make a plan for how we want to pre-assess that this week.
Okay.
And then we're going to teach it through your expedition the next 4 weeks. We'll do formative assessments throughout as we go, like exit tickets and
Right.
monitoring notes. And then at the end, we'll have a post-assessment. So you'll have pre-assessment data saying, these students can identify the main topic, these ones can't. These students can answer questions, these ones can't. You'll have end-of-unit assessment data, so you'll have clear growth data
Okay.
tied to the standards to show that your kids are making growth as readers through your whole group literacy instruction.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So does the purpose of doing a pre-assessment like this make sense to you?
It does, because you'll be able to track over time in terms of, who may not have gotten it at the beginning, who's kind of connected with it, like halfway through, and who's nailing or whatever. I guess my question is, if they're nailing it on day one, of course they'd be nailing it over here, but still, they're still learning. So it's not like you're not pushing it. Right?
Good, really good thinking. So if we have kids who are really confident and strong in that standard, then the question for us is, how do we push those guys?
Right.
And when do we push all the assessments? I can make a quick checklist. We can put in kids' names, and then
I make the checklist, right?
You can.
Or can I get you the names and you make the checklist?
I can make the checklist.
But you were gonna do this.
I'm making this. I'm making copies of that.
And if I get you the names,
Then I can make that.
would you rather have it electronically, or would you rather have it?
We're gonna do both. I think we keep it electronically in Google
Just send it
Docs
to
as a
you.
record of it.
Since I use via email.
Sure. And I can make it electronically, and I will print it for us as well to use tomorrow. Let's get down one day and time a week when we can agree that we'll have a 45-minute planning session. Is there a time that would work best for you? A focus area. We've got a plan for our pre-assessment, reviewing the pre-assessment. We figured out schedule. I am going to track our work on, did I do a coaching log with you last time?
It's on Google Docs, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to do that again so that if you're not sure what we talked about at our last debrief and what I'm going to look for the next time around, go to Google Docs and our notes
Do you
will be
need
there.
mine? It's tmenken@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you. Team Memkin. Okay, that is shared with you. Do you have any questions or concerns about this coaching cycle? Challenges you anticipate? Anything you want to give me a heads up on or want me to know?
No, I'm looking forward to learning more.
Yes.
So,
We're gonna dig in. Well,
yeah.
I think we have a
And I
good.
know I'm gonna struggle in certain areas, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's.
So.
I mean, that's why I'm here. And if
Yeah.
you want me to model a lesson or anything,
I definitely like to see. I think I'm a very visual person, so
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago you came back and you were doing something and I taped you and I still had it and I still watch it every once in a while.
what was it?
I can't even remember what it was. Because now I gotta go back and like my data archives to see it, you know,
Yeah.
but it's like, there was like some kind of whole group, and I can't remember
Oh,
what
it was Grandfather Twilight.
Yeah, Grandfather
Yes.
Twilight.
Yes.
And so it's like, and I remember keep looking back at it, and I'm like watching the kids, but they're engaged with that. So yeah, I'm a very visual person, and I like doing stuff like taping that kind of, because then I can actually go back and look
Okay.
at it, and
Okay.
you know,
So I'm happy to model, and something else, since you are so visual, that we might want to consider that would be new for us is me videotaping you. Okay.
It's fine. It's
And
scary,
not
though.
it's
Yeah,
scary, but it's really powerful because when you have the opportunity. So say our next, our big takeaway for the next time around is for you to really zoom in on the think aloud and be really clear about that piece or the guided practice.
Right.
I'll tape that segment of your lesson, and then we'll look at it together so that when I
Right,
say,
what can I do better, or what can I? No, that's fine. I don't have a problem. I don't really have any pride in that regard, so I don't care. That's
Okay.
fine. I can be. You're like, yeah, someone's gonna be. I don't. Yeah,
Okay, great.
that's fine.
Anything else? Or are we all set?
I think we're good. So you'll give me that,
Yep.
both of those, and I can make copies in the morning.
I'll make copies for you. I can make copies
Okay.
for you.
And I can just do a checklist and walk around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, Tyler.
No, thank you. I
Looking forward
appreciate
to
it.
it.
Absolutely.